you. I like everything about you.
Hi everyone! So for this video, I am going to be transforming this dress into something new. So this is the design that I am going for, and I need to make the neckline one shoulder, add ruffles, and make the skirt longer and volumized. I went to the fabric store and bought these two fabrics. One stretchy black fabric for my base and the sequence fabric for the outer layer. I am upcycling this dress for someone I know because she is going to wear it to her school ball. So I had her try it on and I marked where the waist and the knees are. My plan is to remove the top bit and make it from scratch. Here I am cutting on where my guide is for her knees, and I'm using that excess fabric to make the top or the bodice. The sequence fabric that I bought has no pattern or whatsoever, so I wanted to use the original fabric and incorporate the patterns that it has. So this is the pattern that I came up with using the foundation block and altering it to a one shoulder. Here I am adding princess seams because I realized the sequence will make the dark fold bulky. And then I'm closing the darts. And then I add my notches at the apex area. And label each pattern their positions. I thought it was really cool to place the apex on where the diamonds are, so I put my pattern pieces there. And then this is my back pattern. It was my first time working with sequence fabric and there was so much fallout, so I just cut my patterns. This is what the fallouts look like up close, and I had to constantly brush my table. I was very satisfied with how the patterns turned out at the end. It made the top more interesting and more detailed rather than just plain sequence. So I just faced them right sides together, pinned them, and sew a 1 cm allowance. This is what it looks like after I sewed them together. And now I'm going to sew right sides together, the front panel and the back panel. But I'm only going to be sewing one side, which is this one, the one with the shoulder, and I'm going to leave this one open because I'm going to be attaching the zipper there. This is what it looks like so far. I still haven't cut out the original neckline, so it's still there. I just put it on top. But I'm quite satisfied with the progress so far. Now is the time to cut out the original neckline, but before I do so, I am going to seam rip the zipper so that I can use it later. After seam ripping the zipper, I use pins to make a straight guideline for me to cut out. I overlocked the side seams and the shoulder line of the top before I attached it to the skirt. I aligned and pinned right sides together, the skirt and the top, and sewed along the edges, but still leaving one side open for the zipper. The thing about stretchy fabrics is you don't have to go very strict with your pattern or your sizing because it can accommodate the body easily. Here I'm working on the bottom of the skirt, which looks like a mermaid cut. I'm basically just cutting a circle skirt and I'm using the pins as my guide. I did the same for my sequence fabric. Take the measurement of your knees where you can move and you're comfortable, and then follow this formula for a full circle skirt. And then here I am joining the base fabric and the sequence fabric at the top and sewed a straight line. Because I cut my circle skirts a bit bigger on the knees area, I am gathering it so that it matches the original measurement. Pin and sew right sides together. And this is what it looks like so far. I did a fitting with her and she wanted the skirt to be longer, so I'm just going to add a rectangular strip of fabric at the ends. I'm cutting out the part that I don't need with this sequence fabric, which is this tool. And then I cut out my strip of fabric. I did the same thing for my base fabric. Because it's a circle skirt, it's going to have a long circumference, so I'm going to be joining these strips of fabric to make a longer one, overlocking the edges to have a cleaner finish. Pressing the seam so that it lays flat. So I put the sequence fabric on top of the base fabric, and I'm going to sew a straight stitch at the top and at the bottom. This will keep them in place. This took quite a while because there's so much fabric, so you might want to reload several bobbin cases so that you can just quickly change it. So I'm pinning the sequence to the base fabric just because I want it to stay in place while I'm sewing the bottom part. This will help in reducing the wrinkles. Again, overlocking the edges. I don't have a footage of it, but by this time I've already attached right sides together the strip of fabric to the circle skirt. Then here I am folding 1 centimeter once and sew a straight stitch. This is what it looks like now, and I am so close to finishing it, but I just need to do the ruffles at the neckline. The ruffles will have the same concept as the circle skirt, but we're going to do smaller versions of it. Here I am playing around with the size so that I know how ruffled and how long it's going to be. And then I gradually made the circles bigger because one side, which is the shoulder side, is going to have a longer ruffle. This is what it looks like with just the sequence fabric, and I think it's quite flimsy and I wanted it to have more structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add interfacing at the ruffles so that it has more volume. It's going to have to be black so that it doesn't show through. I just pinned the ruffles at the interfacing and I'm cutting out a general shape. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm going to iron it later on the sequence fabric. I originally thought I was going to iron it on the base fabric, but when I had a sample, it doesn't stick and it sticks better on the sequence fabric, so that is what I'm going to go for. So these are all the pieces that I've cut out. Even these are not finalized. I'm going to be draping it and I'm going to cut on what I think is better. But before I drape, I have to connect them right sides together, so I'm going to do that. This is what it looks like. It has more volume now and it's more structured, but I'm going to have to cut some parts a little bit so that the transition from short to longest is going to be smoother. After trimming it while it was still on the mannequin, I am going to be sewing the ruffles right sides together and sew at the hem. When you get to the corner, lift your foot up while your needle is still down and turn the corner away from you, and then put your foot down again and sew. This will give a more pointier look when you turn the fabrics inside out, and give it a press so that it lays flat. I put the dress in the mannequin and I pinned the ruffles on the neckline, and then I'm sewing it by hand just to make sure that the ruffles are where I want them to be. I then took it to my machine and sewed a straight stitch. But when I put it on the mannequin again, I noticed that there's a gaping at this part and I didn't like it, so my plan was to add elastic. But first I had to overlock the edges of the neckline so that it doesn't fray. I set my machine to zigzag stitch. I secured my elastic first by back tacking it, and then I started pulling a little bit as I sew, but be careful not to pull too much so that your needle wouldn't break. After sewing the elastic, I folded the neckline 1 centimeter once so that it has a cleaner finish. And then I'm done. The very last thing that I did was to add my tag. And this is the grand reveal.
Like where you at. I like everything about you.
I just want to say thank you to Linda for trusting me with her ball gown, and I really thought she was so beautiful that night. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel and like this video. Help me get to 200 subscribers before January ends. Also follow me on my Instagram account. Thank you!